well as a phenomenal CW operator. It's Jim, AD4EB, and he's going to talk about his mobile operations. So, Jim, thank you for being here, and we're all anxious to hear what you have to say.
All right, very good, Tim. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, maybe a little bit more volume there, Barney.
Okay, is this better?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, and I'm going to share my screen. There we go. You see, is it covered up a little bit? There we go.
Yeah, Barney's going to move it out of the way, and we'll be good. Maybe collapse that down, Barney. Okay. All right, there you go. All right, Jim.
All right, very good. Hi, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here via Zoom. And thank you, Tim, very much for inviting me to do this presentation. My name is Jim Hall, also known as AD4EB, and I'll be talking about mobile contesting in state QSO parties. The presentation is going to start out with a quick overview of what a state QSO party is and why I like doing them as a mobile. And then I'll describe 5 key things that help us make it successful in these endeavors. I was licensed back in 1972 and became interested in contesting about 20 years ago. And my preferred mode is CW, and I enjoy competing in contests from my home station down here in Middle Tennessee. However, my favorite thing to do in ham radio is mobile contesting. Most of you probably know about or maybe have even operated in state QSO parties. But for anyone that hasn't, here's a quick explanation. Most states put on their own QSO parties, but there are some that team up with other states. For example, the New England QSO party. The rules are different depending on if you are operating in-state versus out-of-state. Stations located out-of-state try to work as many stations within the QSO party state as possible, and they get score multipliers based on the number of counties that they work. Stations located in-state can work everybody and typically get multipliers for each state, province, or country they work. Each time a mobile station enters a new county, they get to work everyone all over again. That's the big mobile advantage. So you may wonder why I like contesting as a mobile so much. Well, it's the incredible QSO rates, at times over 200 per hour. And also, there's an adrenaline rush from the massive pileups that occur when entering each new county. Here's how a QSO takes place on my end after calling a CQ. After picking out a call sign from the pileup, I'll transmit their call sign, a signal report, usually 599, and my county's abbreviation. Then they will send a signal report and their state, province, or county abbreviation, or country abbreviation. And then I'll send a thank you, which is usually TU, and then the process repeats itself. The best way to show you what it's like is to play a recording of how it sounds on my end. This 40-second audio clip is from the Florida QSO party this year. And if you don't know CW, please bear with me for a minute. The louder signal you're going to hear is my CW side tone, and I'll be sending it about 42 words a minute. And the 4 stations worked are listed on the top right up here. These 4 stations here, OM2VL will be first from the Slovak Republic, and I'll end with an Italian station, India 4, Victor Echo, Quebec. And my exchange is going to be 599, actually 5NN, which is a shortcut, SAN for Santa Rosa County in Florida. Okay, so here it goes. I'm going to play this audio. Hopefully you can hear it. Okay, that's a 40-second clip. And being able to work pileups and the world at the same time from our vehicle with just 100 watts still amazes me. This is our Kia Carnival MPV. MPV stands for multi-purpose vehicle. Kia considers it to be much more than just a van, and I do too because it's been so perfect for mobile contesting. To date, we've operated in 45 QSO parties from 7 states: Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Illinois, Texas, Florida, and Ohio. We started doing this back in 2009 and have now driven for over 27,000 miles for contesting, resulting in over 80,000 QSOs. That comes out to about 3 QSOs per mile. So far, we've done 2 QSO parties this year, the Florida QSO party and the Georgia QSO party. We had good routes planned, the band conditions and participations were both excellent, and we ended up setting new record scores in each of them. Next, I'm going to share with you what I consider the keys to our success in these contests. To start with, my number 1 key to success, and also my secret weapon, is my wife, Melody, KI4HVY. She does the driving and navigating on these adventures. Her smooth and safe driving allows me to stay 100% focused on operating. Look at how relaxed she is after moments ago just finishing a 2-day, 980-mile Florida QSO party route. It's truly amazing the way she supports me in this hobby, and I couldn't do it without her. Planning good routes is our number 2 key to success. A lot of effort and time are put into planning each of our routes. Over a week was put into planning this 800-mile Georgia QSO party route, which passes through 66 of its 159 counties. Saturday is in red. Right, we started up here in this corner. This is Saturday. Sunday we started here and ended up near Savannah. The planning did pay off. We ended up with over 3,500 QSOs, averaging 177 per hour for the 20 hours. This year's 999-mile Florida route enabled us to achieve our best result ever in a mobile contest. We ended up with over 4,000 QSOs for the first time as a mobile. That's an average of 200 QSOs per hour over the 20-hour contest. In this contest, we started here on Saturday, ended here for Saturday. On Sunday, we started here and worked all the way across the Panhandle over here. 48 counties out of 67. Here are some of the important factors when planning a route. First of all, operate from as many counties as possible. More counties result in more pileups. And the rarer the county, the bigger the pileups, just like with the DXpedition. In some counties, we may be the only operators for the entire contest that will be in that county. We found the optimum time in each county to be about 15 to 20 minutes. And when possible, we drive through just the corner of a county and find a place to stop and operate from. And that's because our highest rates are often obtained when stopped in a good, quiet location. Some QSO parties allow mobiles to operate on county lines and thereby log 2 QSOs for a single contact. Short-term rates of over 300 QSOs per hour are possible this way. And by the way, Pennsylvania does not allow mobiles to operate on county lines. It's about 50-50. And finally, pick the best roads possible. During our first Illinois QSO party, our planned route took us on gravel farm roads like this. They were so washboarded that I couldn't type on the keyboard, and I couldn't hear anything on the radio anyway. The third key to success is good antenna selection and installation. Ted, W4NZ, gave me lots of tips from his experience with mobile contesting. He suggested trying Hustler vertical antennas, which I did right from the get-go, and they really performed well. As you can see in the picture, the front antenna is for 10, 15, and 20 right here, and the rear one is set up for 40 meters. Maximum height above ground is 13.5 feet. So we have to carefully watch out for low tree branches and also overpasses. Luckily, Juan AC6ZM caught this sign over here on the right instead of us catching the bridge. I did the Georgia QSO party with Juan last year. The front antenna uses 3 Hustler resonators for 10, 15, and 20 meters. They are attached to the mast using the multi-adapter plate you see in this photo. All the Hustler antenna components were purchased from DX Engineering. 40-meter vertical uses a 30-meter coil and a capacitive top hat up here. The 6 12-inch spokes are attached using a DXE hot rods hub. It's right here. We also have an 80-meter antenna, which is very similar to the 40, just a lot bigger. Another key to success are ergonomics and comfort. This is especially important when operating for 2 days for 20 hours in a vehicle. This is what it looks like on the inside of the vehicle. You can see the ICOM 7610. There's my Kent keyer there because I operate almost 100% CW. I have a 17-inch wide laptop running N1MM, and I use a USB lighted keyboard. And over here on the left is a iPad that's running the reverse beacon network. And then up front under the mirror is a Garmin GPS with the current route loaded into it. And I'm truly just as comfortable operating mobile as I am operating at home. The last key to our success is creating and then following a detailed schedule for the entire contest. The schedule is prepared in Excel by creating what I call our route and times spreadsheet. Some of the data for the spreadsheet comes from Garmin software that I use when planning the route. The software is called Garmin Basecamp, which runs on a PC. This is the beginning of the spreadsheet used in the Georgia QSO party. I think for Georgia, we had about a dozen pages like this. It's a detailed driving guide and schedule for Melody, and it's an operating guide for me. It tells me when to switch bands and how far it is to the next county. If we manage to stay on this schedule, we'll make it through all the planned counties, get the desired 15 to 20 minutes in each one, and hopefully maximize our score. The spreadsheet tells us what time we should arrive at each county and what time to depart from every weight or county line location. It also shows the total time planned in each county. And to help us stay on this schedule during the contest, we use a Garmin GPS. The route is downloaded from Basecamp into this DriveSmart GPS. Using a GPS helps Melody focus on driving and alerts her when we enter each new county. It displays the next county waypoint name right here and how many minutes it's going to take to get there. And the GPS announces each waypoint on arrival. Like in this case, it'll say, arriving at 25B Will. Melody then tells me in the back of the van to change the county name in the N1MM software to Will, W-I-L-L. Our mobile contest plans are posted on my AD4EB QRZ webpage. Those plans include overall details of our operation, a map of our route, and our estimated county line crossing times, which look like this. It shows the scheduled arrival time for each county for the whole contest. And Melody's really good at keeping us right on these scheduled times, often to the minute. Quite a number of people try to beat the pileups by being the first to work as we enter each new county. These published crossing times help them do that. And we also use APRS, which allows us to be tracked during the contest. APRS stands for Automatic Packet Reporting System. But it also works on my cell phone. My cell phone runs an app called APRS Droid, which sends out our location over the cellular network. You can follow us, the red car symbol here, by pulling up aprs.fi on your home PC or phone browser. It even shows the county lines when zoomed in. The link to my aprs.fi location is located on my QRZ page as well. Our setup and planning have been years in the making. If you decide to give this a try, I'd recommend starting out a little simpler. Mag mount antenna, a radio on the seat next to you, a PC in your lap will work just fine. You could take a short drive during the contest and operate from just a few nearby counties. You'll be amazed at how much fun it is. And that's the end of my presentation. I hope you decide to give mobile contesting a try yourself. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Jim, can you talk for a minute about the interface into the electrical system of the Kia, and did you have any problems with RF getting into the microprocessors in the Kia?
I sure can. This is the second vehicle I've had. The first one was a Montana van, 2000 Montana van, which now has about 300,000 miles on it. And then this is my most recent one. And in each of these, I had problems by not having good bonding, especially the roof rack on top. And whenever it would rain, the SWR would get really high, sometimes so high I couldn't transmit. And once I put good bonding up on top of the roof rack, it seemed to have solved the problem. And it would cause problems with the computer. And I could even feel RF when I touched my keyer with my hand. It was pretty bad. And this is a kind of like an overview of the presentation I gave at Contest University this year. And I went into a lot of detail on antenna mounting and bonding and how those masts are supported on the top of the vehicle. So if you want more information on that, I'd recommend going to the CTU website and you can watch the full presentation there.
So, Jim, can you tell us what maybe is your most memorable QSO or your longest distance from your mobile operations?
Oh, yeah, I sure can. I got two of them really. First one was in the actually it was the Texas QSO party. I was kind of down in a valley a little bit, parked off the side of the road, and calling CQ and working a pretty good pileup. And then all of a sudden, I worked a JA out of the blue. It's the first time I'd worked a JA from the mobile, so that was pretty fascinating. And then in the Florida QSO party, I kept having a Russian call me that the DX wasn't coming in very good at all that contest, but this Russian guy was just booming in, and I probably worked him 4 or 5 times. So those are two of the ones that I remember.
Does anybody else have questions for Jim? Father Mike needs a mic.
Good, Jim, on that dual county operation, does the vehicle actually have to be bisected by the county line? Do you park next to a county sign, or is there a 100-yard leeway, or how does that work?
Oh, that's a really good question, Father Mike. It depends on the contest. Some are really strict about how you activate a county line. Florida is one. You got to have part of the vehicle in one county and part in the other, which means you have to park right next to the sign. And sometimes that's hard to do because a lot of times the sign is too close to the road. So part of your vehicle would be on the road, which wouldn't be safe. So you kind of have to skip those. Other QSO parties, like Texas, for example, you need to get as close as you possibly can. At a minimum, you have to be able to see the sign, but it's not quite as strict as far as having half or part of the vehicle on each side. So it depends on the contest, and it's usually very well stated on how serious they are about that in the rules for the contest. Good question.
Other questions for Jim, AD4EB? Well, Jim, I want to thank you very much for giving your presentation, and we congratulate you on your successes that you've had with mobile operations. And just so we're clear, everything has been on 80 meters through 10 meters. You haven't done any of the other bands, is that right?
That's correct. 80 through 10. That's correct.
All right, and a pretty simple antenna setup when it comes to it. Although You know, I got to ask you. You know, we saw that one bridge that was only 10 feet. Um, did you ever get surprised and there wasn't a sign and you hit something?
Uh, well, yeah, there's two cases about that. First one happened when I was driving my van to work to show some people what I do on contesting. And sure enough, there was an overpass at about 10 feet, and I just totally wiped out those two antennas. They were totally destroyed. And another thing, I always test everything out really well in the driveway before I leave on a QSO party, especially a long distance one. And on one occasion, I forgot to take the antennas down and drove into the garage, and I messed up the front antenna really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So didn't have a lot of time, so I ordered an antenna from DX Engineering, and I had it the next day, and everything was fine. But those are the two problems I've had.
All right.
Been lucky.
So what about police or any other people that might have pulled you over and said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's happened twice so far. The first time was in Florida. I know exactly where it was, and a guy in a emergency vehicle, police. Yeah, I think it was a police car. He had his lights flashing, and I thought, oh my gosh, here we go. And he came around the side of the car and wanted to know what we were doing. I had a huge pileup going. It was a county line actually, and I was working people like crazy. And he said, oh, I know what you're doing. You're a ham operator and all this kind of stuff. And he just wanted to talk and talk and talk. So here I am running this pile up and trying to talk to him at the same time. So that was kind of funny. And another case happened this year in Florida. We were operating, and Melody was sitting there reading her reading a book, I believe it was, and somebody tapped on our window. It scared us both half to death. And it was a emergency vehicle coming to check on us. Somebody had called us in saying there might be a car broken down by this county line sign. And sure enough, they pulled up behind us without us knowing it and gave us a good scare. But I've never had anybody ever tell us we had to leave or move. I've been really lucky in that regard.
Well, that is great. Well, thank you for sharing your story, Jim. It's we talk all the time about there's so many things to do in this hobby, and you have certainly focused in on one area and have done a tremendous job. And thank you for sharing your story. And we look forward to seeing you in West Middlesex here in the future. Thanks again, Jim.
Okay, thank you for having me. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, we're going to be up the street at the Mexican restaurant at La Isla, and